Whiteout, a story by Reddit user BlackCat2000. Shit. Marcus exclaimed, sprinting through the front door covered in blood and smelling like a fresh kill, leaving a trail of empty beer bottles and papers scattered on the ground. What's got you all riled up? His father said he was descaling fish caught that morning in the sink before dusk settled in. A thin shroud of fog settled on the secluded homes in the mountains of Colorado, a spectacle for campers but a warning for residents. No one ventures out at night during the fog, and only the ignorant would ever spill blood on a whiteout, as residents call this phenomenon. Unfortunately for the son, the rules have been broken. Wisps of white vapor seeped through cracks in the house, creating a hushed voice as it made its way to the men in the kitchen. "Fuck you do, boy." Bill slaps Marcus across the face, making him stumble back and hit the cabinet with a bang. Glass plates fell with a crash, scattering sharp white fragments, only to be enveloped in white smoke. Marcus's eyes welled up in tears, not for the punishment from his father but because he put both his and his father's lives at risk. "I didn't mean I just grab the bag out the pantry, I'll get the guns, and boy don't do anything stupid," his father said, glaring into his son's soul with fiery anger. Swallowing his pride, Marcus quickly rummaged in the pantry while his father went outside to the gun shed out back. Tears trickled down Marcus' face, anger bubbling from his stomach, not anger towards his father but for himself. "Fuck," Marcus said, punching a hole in the wall, then ran out of the house to look for his father. Half the interior of the home was filtered for white fog, and whispers grew louder, angrier even, freezing Marcus in his place, both amazed and terrified by what he'd done. "Marcus, get your ass over her, or I'm leaving you too." He paused, not knowing exactly what was in the mist but scared nonetheless. Marcus burst through the door with 2 duffel bags filled with rations. His father carried a bag of rifles as well as a shotgun in hand and a machete holstered on the right hip. The smoke changed directions like it was conscious, sniffing them out like a bloodhound. The supernatural fog formed a ghostly hand outreached to the men, a vain attempt as it was not close enough. The edge of the fog, right before it brushed the grass, first yellowed, then browned, then withered away, hidden by a curtain of death. Bill had his theories about what the fog is, and after seeing the trail of rot, he knew the true nature of this common phenomenon. "Let's go, boy," he said, clasping his 17-year-old son's arm, leading them safety. The fog, as deadly as it was, is terrible sluggish. After some sprinting, the pair were almost out of danger. A small cabin was in sight. A neighbor, Bill, was acquainted with it and hoped he'd give them shelter. Bang, bang, bang. Bill rattled on the door with such intensity that a screw fell off a hinge. Marcus kept glancing behind him. He felt like he was being watched. Even though he couldn't see the fog, he could feel it, like some connection to the Grim Reaper itself. The door swung open, and an elderly man stood in the doorway, a half bottle of wine in hand, swaying on his feet. "Wad you wan?" he said in a slurred voice. "Hey Carl, yeah, so," Bill said, thinking of the next words carefully. "You see our house burned down and we ain't got no one else to ask, but you wouldn't mind if we hold up here till we find a place, right?" Carl glared at Bill, searching for lies, but the alcohol blurred his thoughts and he welcomed them in. The men sat around the fireplace, having hot chocolate and saltine crackers. Bill and Carl talked about their hunts and caught up on each other's lives, while Marcus couldn't help but stare out into the dark. Some hours passed with no fog or whispers, just dense woods and pine scent. Carl fell asleep on his cushioned chair, an empty bottle held loosely by his wrinkled fingers. Seeing the old man fast asleep put the men at ease, and for a moment, it was peaceful. Marcus awakes to violent whispers. The room is being filled with white smoke. Marcus anxiously scanned the room, but there was no father. The only one in the room was Carl, sitting still in his chair, smoke already enveloping his torso and crawling up his chest. Carl, wake up, where's my..." But Carl would not wake up. No one could survive the lower half of the body rotting away into paper like flesh and cracked bone. Dad. Marcus was frantic but relieved when his father came stumbling down the stairs, a beer in hand. "How could you be drinking right now, don't you get, we're going to die." Bill strikes his son with the beer can, leaving a gash on the head. Blood trickled from Marcus's forehead. "Boy, you better learn who you're talking to." Takes another sip. "We're in this shit because of you, it's all you, baby," he said, tilting his head to the ceiling and laughing. "Come on Carl, join the fun, buddy." But Carl was all but a skeleton wearing a grimy wife-beater and boxers. In his drunken stupor, Bill was fixated on Carl's corpse, and tears clouded his vision. Marcus saw an opportunity to survive, a way for life to continue, and he shoved his father into a cloud of decaying fog. His screams filled the old wooden cabin and reverberate off the smog, coming back as distorted agonizing yells. Marcus leaves his father on the floor as the fog ate away his flesh, organs and bones until all there was left was dust. He finds the duffel bags of food and the guns and runs to the back door. Any sliver of hope died at the sight of the fog completely surrounding the house. Marcus was trapped. Fog continued to enter the home, forcing Marcus outside to confront his shadows. A hand reached out of the fog, then morphed into the figure of a deer, a reminder of the kill before all this. But more figures formed, from deer to fish and a familiar-looking old man, than his father's face. The fog creatures called out in a myriad of different voices, some recognizable like his father's, some voices he'd never heard before. Even the calls of elk formed into words, beckoning Marcus to join them. "Faith, father," Marcus said, slumped to the ground, allowing the bags of food and weapons to fall to the dirt. "Join us, join the fog," he said, chanting along with the voices of the dead. And Marcus did, not willingly but out of despair. He'd murdered his father to save himself and was now surrounded by rotting fog. And Marcus sat there, sobbing into the palms of his hands, before being embraced by death. Flesh melted off the bone, eyes fell out of their sockets, and blood-curdling screams blended with the others. And he too would be one with the fog.